You're a defensive coordinator, and you can speak to this more than I can. I feel like they put too much pressure on the defensive side of the ball. So if I'm a defensive coordinator, I don't want that offense because time of possession is going to hurt me significantly.
Well, but again, the threat of the ability of the quarterback to move the ball downfield by running it as well is really important. You've just got to have a quarterback that can withstand the punishment. Ooh. You know, that was the situation in Arizona. I mean, every other month, their quarterback was on the sideline. Now what's going to have to happen is if you do take Jaden and you do use that style of offense, he's got to be smart. His mindset's going to have to change about not just, you know, extending plays, but finding the right time to get down, the right time to get out of bounds. He's got to save himself, and that's going to be real important because, again, they've got to be able to run the ball successfully, and I like the running backs that are still there, okay? They've got to be able to distribute the ball. Well, I love the receivers they have. Okay, so they have an opportunity, I think, to take that style of offense and get it going very early if they get the right quarterback.
When you look at the division right now, Philadelphia, the Giants, Dallas, Washington, just in the offseason, because it's all on paper. We don't play till September. Who would you give the nod to in the division?
Wow, you know, based on what happened last year, you wanted, to me, again, the nod still stays with Dallas. But based on what's been going on so far, you got to take a long look at Philadelphia. You know, Howie's not going to sit back. Howie's going to find more opportunities to add on to what he's done, and that makes them just as dangerous. So to me, it's Dallas, Philly right now. You know, Philly's on top. And I think Philly because of what they've done. But if Jerry has a good draft, pulls in the players that he's looking for, I think it can be right back into Dallas's lap.
Have you seen enough of Caleb to say you would take him over Jaden?
Yes, absolutely, because I promise you what everybody's done the first few months of this draft cycle is they've tried to find out what he can't do, try to find out all of his faults. And then the last month, they've probably sat down and said, okay, let's talk about what he does do and how well he does it and how it fits us. I mean, there's a lot of things that people are going through right now to find out, you know, if these guys are the guys. I mean, these top quarterbacks have been picked through, they've been dragged through, they've been pulled through. Now they're being looked at as to why they're our best pick.
So, speaking of quarterbacks, as you look back on your time in Carolina, and you obviously got to a Super Bowl, and then Von Miller said, okay, that's enough.
Yes, he did.
How do you, what will you remember about your time with Cam? You were up and you were down, and what are your sort of lingering emotions about Cam Newton?
Well, I still think Cam is during his time, he was one of the best players in the league. In fact, in 2015, he was voted the best player.
He was.
Tremendous athlete, tremendous football player, loved the game. And should still be playing. Unfortunately, the injuries caught up to him, and he never came back from that shoulder. And that's been the hard part, the hard thing to accept is this is a guy that if he could have stayed healthy, if he could have gotten that shoulder right, would probably still be playing right now.
I'm a Cam Newton guy. When I look back at Cam's situation, much like you talked about with Jaden Daniels and these other quarterbacks, they got to protect themselves.
Yes, they do.
Too many times we've seen, whether it's a Lamar or RG3 or just a running style quarterback, and a lot of the injuries aren't because they run the ball. The injuries are occurring in the pocket, not outside the pocket.
But as you know, Cam is a huge human being.
Of course,
just a huge human being.
But it wears on you. It really does. I mean, and
yeah.
Again, Anthony Richardson for the Colts last year. Think of what happened. It's already happened his rookie year. Cam really didn't get nicked up until later in his career. And it's just once it starts, it's one after the other, and it compounds. That's what's happened to this young man already. And again, it's like you said, it doesn't just happen when they're running. It's also in the pocket.
Yeah, it's in the pocket a lot of the times.
And so a lot of it is about them learning and developing and understanding what they have to do to protect themselves to help their football team.
My fear for Jaden is he looks like he's about half a Cam right now, like he's slender, right?
He's a thin daddy, but he's thinner than Cam, but he's not to the point where you look at him and you see him in person, he's not a stick figure. No, he's got some muscle mass to him. He's just got smaller shoulders, bigger hands, and he's athletic. He can do some stuff he's like a little less than a Lamar. Not as shifty and fast. He's got some of that same stuff though, for sure. I've watched him all the way since high school, Arizona State, obviously, LSU. I've seen him in 7-on-7. I've seen a lot and nothing gets to him. He's not bothered by anything at all whatsoever.
That's
so
the key.
I'm excited to see wherever he winds up landing.
All right, Coach. So this man got to play and got to see up close and personal and practice against one of the great defenses of all times, the 2002 Bucs defense featuring our man Derek Brooks, John Lynch, and company. You played with and for an all-time great defense. Make your case for the '85 Bears defense being the greatest ever.
Well, I think first and foremost, you go and you look at who's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Tampa obviously has a number of guys that are in the Hall of Fame. with the Bears, you know, that group of guys from '85, we just added Steve McMichael.
You did.
Okay, you got Mike Singletary, you got Richard Dent, you got Dan Hampton. I mean, that's 4 of the 11 starters, and that's pretty good. And there, you can make some arguments for as to why Gary Fensick could be in, to why Wilbur Marshall could be in.
Yeah.
So that's two more potentially from that group. So again, when you talk about great defense, like if I mention to you the Giants, automatically you think right off the bat of LT.
Right. Yeah. But then there's Harry Carson.
Right, but then keep going.
And then
defensive line, defensive backs.
Obviously.
Burt. You could go Harry Carson. I said that, right? You could go Carl Banks, a young Pepper Johnson.
Yeah.
Then in the secondary, I'm trying to think, they had a corner. Collins? Wasn't it Collins in the secondary?
Oh,
I think it was a Collins in the secondary. No, they had a good defense. Yeah. Our defense always, I don't know. You got Sapp, you got Brooks, you got John Lynch, you got Rondé Barber, Simeon Rice on the end coming off the edge, a healthy Booger McFarland. Then you got Dexter Jackson, who was the MVP in the Super Bowl. And then we had a bunch of rotating guys and Spears and those. I mean, like we had Shelton Qualls in the middle. We had some real killers on the defensive side of the ball. No question about it. So, Coach, I know you want to coach again. At what level? Would you entertain coaching in the world of college football and the craziness in the NIL space?
You know, that would take a long discussion with my wife because she works with the University of California, Berkeley on the collective. So she understands what's going on with the NIL, and I hear it from her all the time. So that's something we'd have to most certainly talk about. But, you know, being in the NFL is what I've always done, and that's where I'd like to be, and I'd like to probably return to. You know, there will be some opportunities next year that I've got to look at and see if they're possible. And if not, maybe this world of media might be the thing for me, and that might give me the opportunity to enjoy it, because I'll tell you right now, from what I have right now, I have no stress, no pressure on this decision coming up on Friday.
Everybody always told me, Ron, I remember when Parcells, when I retired, and Bill wanted me to join him in Miami in the front office. When he took, I was at ESPN one year with him, and then he took the job as the president of the Dolphins. And him and I met, and we talked and went over it. And one, he was like, it's going to be economic suicide for you, okay? 2, you're going to age so fast that you're going to wish. Now, I'm just telling you this, and I'm like, yeah, it's probably not what I want to do. TV is probably a little more, lively for me than going through. I've had so many friends, man, that have gone through coaching and stuff like that, and that I played with in front office. It's like stress level is just so high.
Well, it's not for everybody, first and foremost. Secondly, you've got to be really strong in terms of, being able to manage your time and understand that, you are going to be taking from this part of your life, okay, and moving it right here. This whole focus, everything you do around football, that's where you've got to be. And then you have a little time over here. What's interesting is, when I was let go, this February, for the first time in 27 years, I took my wife on vacation in February. Hadn't done that in 27 years.
Beautiful.
February, I'm getting ready for the All-Star games and the Combine.
Yep, that's typically what it would have been.
And you look great, and you look rested, and it's a pleasure to have you on television with us.
Well, thank you,
and maybe that's where you belong. So
we'll see.
We appreciate you. Okay, up next, we got to get back to last night's second game. We're going to give LeBron